Hello, students. In today's lecture, I'll talk about Raja Rao's first novel, Kanthapura, which appeared in 1938. Kanthapura is a realistic account of how majority of Indian villages underwent a drastic change in the British colonial India. Novel is often regarded as the classic modern Indian fiction with reference to the Gandhian ideals and values. Now, Kanthapura is the first novel of Raja Rao, and it was written when Raja Rao was in France in 1930s, and it depicts realistically the mass movement led by the followers of Mahatma Gandhi. Kantapura is the name of it is set in a South Indian village situated somewhere near Mysore. So Kantapura is a microcosm of the traditional Indian society, and it is set in the 1920s and 1930s. Now this period was marked with the emergence and further rise of Mahatma Gandhi in the nationalistic struggle. The novel portrays the sad reality and fate of the village Kanthapura. Now, in the end, the village is abandoned by the folks because they were forced to flee. The forward or the preface is equally important, and in the forward, Rajarao states that every Indian village has history of its own. He says that the mode of telling the story is not easy because English is a foreign language, and it is the language of our intellectual makeup, not of our emotional makeup. Now he emphasizes on the fact that we can't imitate the language like the natives, and indeed we should not copy it. So it would be better to express the true sensibility of Indianness. And to talk about the style, Rajarao states that I quote, "We have neither punctuation nor the treacherous adds and ons to bother us. We tell one interminable tale. Episode follows episode, and when our thoughts stop, our breath stops, and we move on to another thought." So, in the forward, he states that we cannot write like the English and we should not. So, we must not try to imitate them. We must express Indian sensibilities in our writings. The novel is written in the form of Sthal Puran. So, it has history of its own, it has deity of its own. Now, Kanthapura, in the village Kanthapura, the natives worship goddess Kinchama. She is worshipped with the equal zeal, be it famine or be it festivals. The villagers, they express their sincerity, they express their gratitude for the goddess in the same manner. So the novel captures poignantly how this tiny, calm village actively participated in the freedom movement under the leadership of Murthy. Murthy is the protagonist, he is the hero of Kanthapura. And in the words of H.M. Williams, the novel tells us how this remote backwater of a place is stirred to life by the impact of Mahatma Gandhi until through a catharsis of violence. It becomes the living epitome of the Satyagraha before crushed by the ruling power. Now, the story is narrated by an old woman, Achakka, in a casual conversational tone. And she says that our village, I don't think you have ever heard about it. Kantapura is its name, and it is in the province of Kara. The picturization of this tiny village is really captivating, and it appears as if we are actually passing through the village. As Achakka states, high on the ghats, is it high up the steep mountains that force the cool Arabian seas up the Malabar coast. So it is situated. Achakka is describing about the location of the village. Now, through this vivid description by Achakka, we come to know about all the important places, about all the characters. Now, Achakka is an experienced woman, for she has known all and have seen much in her lifetime. She is familiar with each person and she knows about every creed and religion. And it is through her story that we come to know about all the lead characters. Of course, she tells about Murthy, she tells about the widow Rangamma, who supports Murthy in the nationalistic struggle. She tells us about Ratna, a devoted worker in Congress, along with Rangamma and Murthy. She tells us about the influential and powerful Range Gowda, who is also known as the tiger of the village. We come to know about all the shrewd characters like the moneylender Brahmin Bhatt. So soon we come across the plethora of characters, and by analyzing them, we come to know about the prevalent caste system dominating full fledgedly. Now, there are different sections of society in the like the Shudras have different quarters, potters have different quarters, Brahmins live in another part, there are different quarters for Paryas. So there is separate living sections for Paryas and for Brahmins. Now Chakka states about the Shudra quarters that she says that she was not aware of the number of houses in the Perias division because it was formidable to even have a glimpse of this part of society. So, with this reference, we come to know about the class distinction that prevails in the village Kantapura. Then we have another, we come to know about, we have already discussed that the villagers worship goddess Kenchama. We also come to know about the goddess of the hill Hemavati, and she is also invoked and she protects the natives from all sort of disease. All the festivals are celebrated with equal zeal. They follow rituals, they arrange fair, and they actively participate in the Hari Kathas and Bhajans. Now, the protagonist Murthy, he finds a half buried linga and he installs it in a temple. And all the festivals and ceremonies are performed in the temple. Now, in order to instill political fervor, in order to instill patriotic feelings in villagers, Murthy organizes Hari Katha with the help of Jayaramachar. Now, the main objective to organize this Hari Katha was to spread Gandhian influence, his Gandhian philosophy among multitudes. Now, Kantapura stands and represents millions of other villages in India. Murthy represents the spirit of national struggle, and Murthy says, now this is his motto, this is his aim of life, as he says to the villagers that we must remember always the path we follow is the path of spirit, and with truth and non violence and love shall we add to the harmony of the world? Now he explains to the innocent villagers about the importance of collective action in the form of mass movement, and he further relates this political movement with spiritual movement. So he links both these movements because he knew that people of Kanthapura won't participate in any nationalistic struggle. But if he will relate this movement with the religious sentiments of the people, then they will definitely participate in this movement. So, Murthy prepares his people for action to follow the path of non violence and truth, and he successfully involves all the section of society in this struggle, and he motivates them to discard foreign clothes, to spin charkha, to weave their own cloth, and innocent rustics of Kanthapura, they truly believes the nationalistic struggle to be as holy and pious as the act of worship. Now, the impact of Gandhi can be seen throughout the novel. Although Gandhiji never appears as a person, but Gandhiji's ideologies, his philosophies are present throughout. As Srinivas Iyengar has stated, that Gandhi is the invisible God and Murthy is the visible avatar. Now, next step is the excommunication of Murthy, and why does it happen? So, when Murthy instructs his people to follow the path of ahimsa, so he is also actually instrumental in trying to diminish the age old social malpractices. We have already discussed that different quarters were provided for Shudras and they were not allowed in the Brahmin quarters as because of the untouchability. So the natives of Kanthapura, they actually wholeheartedly participate in the nationalistic struggle in the Gandhian movement, and people from all the section of society, be it Hindus or pariahs, they all work with each other in this movement. Now the concept of spinning khadi yarn is introduced and they all pledge to discard foreign clothes. Murthy explains them. He explains to the innocent rustics that how native wealth was looted by British and how they all can prevent this tragedy by spinning charkha. Now he explains to a woman, he says that yes, sister, but they buy foreign yarn and foreign yarn is bought with our money. And all this money goes across the oceans. Our gold should be in our country and our cotton should be in our country. So he explains to the poor rustics that if we'll use foreign clothes, then we in a way we are helping Britishers. So we must not do this. We must discard all the foreign clothes and we must spin charkha, we must weave our own clothes. So, at one level, Murthy organizes his army to fight untouchability, and on the other hand, the village priest Swami, he threatens to excommunicate him and he wants him to stop all these activities. But of course, Murthy never pays any attention to such warnings, for he is determined for the upliftment of the poor. Now, this eventually leads to his excommunication and death of his mother Narsamma. Now, Narsamma, she is not able to digest this fact that his son is excommunicated, although she always scolds him for not doing such activities. But Murthy, being a ally of Gandhi, being a follower of Gandhi, never listens to his mother. And when he is excommunicated, his mother has no option but to die. Now, after his mother's death, Murthy starts living with Rangama, one of the more cultured and educated women of Kanthapura. Now, there is also events about the Skeffington Coffee Estate, but before that, I want to tell you about a character known as Bade Khan. Now, Bade Khan is a police inspector and he is symbolic of brutality, for he intends to avenge the villagers for not providing him shelter. So, when Bade Khan arrives in the village Kanthapura, the villagers they don't provide him shelter because he was a Muslim. So he was supported afterwards by the Skeffington coffee planters who were British. Okay. So meanwhile, Murthy, after his excommunication, he starts living with Rangama, who is also an active member of Congress, and along with Rangama, Murthy spreads the message of Gandhi. Now, the coolies of Skeffington Coffee Estate they actually seek help from Murthy. They have been exploited since generations, and they were forced to work under the hazardous circumstances. Now, this estate was situated at the outskirts of Kanthapura and it was surrounded by hills, by valleys, and rivers. And in this estate, poor laborers they thrive hard to survive they really try hard to survive in this brutality. And one coolie he states that the sahib says that if you work well you'll get sweets, and if you work badly you'll get beaten. So this was actually the law of place. They worked effortlessly, they worked continuously, and even if they stopped for a little while they were thrashed by the masters. So Murthy fights for their cause and he tries to educate them because some Brahmins at Skeffington Coffee Estate they invite Murthy to come and educate these poor coolies. So when he tries to educate them so that they won't be dependent on their masters, but the evil forces like Bade Khan and the master they prevent Murthy to achieve his goal of Swaraj. Now this all these events led to Murthy's imprisonment. The masters prevent him for going any further. They also hit Murthy and afterwards they sent Murthy in prison for provoking people of Kanthapura. So, after all these events, a lawyer is arranged for his bail. Rangama and Rachna they try to release Murthy on bail, but the protagonist, being follower of Gandhi, refuses to come out of prison. Now, Murthy is imprisoned for 3 months, and meanwhile, in Kanthapura, the freedom movement, is led by Rangama, and they form Women's Volunteer Corps to instill patriotic feelings among women. So, in the campaign, stories about how women were able to change the course of history were told. They were told about the revolutionary Lakshmi Bai. They were also told about Sarojini Naidu. So these incidents were reported in order to make women believe in the true power of their deeds and to make them aware that they were also integral part of this struggle. So when Murthy afterwards, after 3 months, Murthy comes out of prison and he further participates in the movement. He prepares his people for the Dandi march, and young and old they all prepare themselves. They all are prepared for sacrifice for their soil. They also arranged no tax campaign. Now this campaign is led by Murthy and he instructs not to pay land revenue to British. Further, he also insists to lead the movement in peaceful manner. But what happens is that this campaign soon lost its temper and the violence breaks out. People are subjected to atrocities like lathi charge and shootings. Even women are not spared. Now the whole atmosphere resounds with crying and shrieking. They all shout Mahatma Gandhi ki jai. So, although the villagers they all fought bravely, but in the end they all were compelled to flee and leave the village Kanthapura. And afterwards, workers from Bombay they arrive in the village, they take away the crops and they burn the houses. Even women were not spared and they were dishonored and beaten up. Now, the Kanthapura, the people in Kanthapura, they all settle in another village called Kashipur. And there, in that village, they all were welcome for their spirit. And they were termed as the pilgrims of Mahatma Gandhi. So their brave resistance, in a way, shattered the spirit of British, although they were defeated. But in their very defeat lay their victory. So Raja Rao, through his fine work, he aims at rousing the conscience of the country at the injustices which plagued Indian life in 1930s. So the atmosphere in Kanthapura is surcharged with nationalism. It is the story of Satyagraha movement, of Lathi charge and the ruin that followed. It is the story of the impact of Gandhi conveyed through Murthy that transformed the life of an entire village community. I hope it's clear to you. Thank you.